A former WWE champion is set to make a big return, but first, serious Chris Jericho allegations have resurfaced. Christmas Day was a busy one for former AEW World Champion Chris Jericho, as he would find himself involved in a heated war of words on social media, this over the events of All Out 2022, where the Elite, Ace Steel, and CM Punk would be involved in a backstage brawl that saw all involved suspended. This would lead to Jericho and Stephen P. New, Steel and Punk's lawyer, going back and forth on whether Jericho was bound to a non-disclosure agreement regarding what happened that night. This after New claimed that Lucy Guy, Ace Steel's wife, is the only person in the room that night that's able to talk about Brawl Out. It's worth remembering that everybody in the room at the time was suspended from AEW following the incident, including those that weren't involved physically, this whilst an investigation took place. Jericho claims that he saw everything, but it's worth remembering that he wasn't suspended, meaning he may not have seen as much as he's letting on. In any case, we're not here to talk about what he did or didn't see at All Out. This is just to set the context. Instead, we'll be talking about a story that surfaced after Jericho's NDA rant, a post that saw a response from Chicago-based journalist Nick Hausman. After Jericho claimed that he's never signed an NDA in his life, Hausman would hit back by saying, "What about the NDAs you make other people sign?" This would then lead to Jericho blocking Hausman on X. Nick would then follow up on the statement on his Rumor and Innuendo podcast to fuel the flames of another rumor that could have catastrophic consequences for Jericho's public image if found to be true, and let's just play the clip.
Obviously, the Jericho part of it, for a lot of reasons, stood out to me. One of the things that, is so disconcerting to me about kind of the universal praise of Jericho, and I'm not going to deny the points that Max made about, the impact Chris had in the early days of AEW, but when you have that kind of clout and you have that kind of power, it's very important to use that responsibly. And I just, there are issues with Chris behind the scenes where I know of a lot of people who have been hurt by Chris and his actions, and, it's very uncomfortable to me to see him lauded as often as he is, with only the focus on that, because I do think that there's a lot of questionable stories about Chris that will find their way out over time, and when people are ready to tell those stories, that will cast him in a very different light. I mean, look, Harvey Weinstein won a lot of Oscars. Harvey Weinstein produced a lot of very popular films. Harvey Weinstein is now in jail. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Chris, but your narrative can very quickly turn if you're hiding a lot of skeletons in your closet.
For those that don't know, Harvey Weinstein is a former film producer and central figure in the Me Too movement due to numerous allegations made against him, allegations that led to him ending up in prison. Harvey would be found guilty of using his power over women in Hollywood to pressure them into doing him, let's say, favors in return for prominent roles in the movie industry. The comparison from Hausman wouldn't be the end of the Jericho saga, as forgotten claims against the former world champion would surface that may reveal what he was referring to. For context, we have to quickly discuss Chicago-based wrestler Kylie Rae, who was one of the first signings ever made by All Elite Wrestling. After making her debut at the company's first pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, she would leave shortly after for unknown reasons, with rumors abound as to exactly why. ISO Wrestling on X would bring up an old Facebook post from 2019 that claimed Chris Jericho had something to do with her exit, and the post reads, "So here's the deal, you don't quit the hottest fed going today, AEW, without reason. I have it from people in the know that Kylie was asked to go to Chris Jericho's room, with the understanding that others would be there. When she got there, it was just him. He made a pass at her, no other details are given, and she freaked out." Whilst in itself, the post should and was brushed off as mere speculation at the time, although a response from Kylie herself has seemingly confirmed that there may be some truth to it. In reply to the original story, ISO Wrestling would then share another post, this time from the accuser of David Starr, somebody that was banished from the wrestling business due to revelations made public during the Speaking Out movement, and this post reads, "Sometimes I stop to wonder how many young women out there are wondering if it's safe to post about Chris Jericho yet." Again, whilst in itself, this can only be viewed as speculation, this specific post would then receive a response from Kylie Rae herself, who simply reacted with a heart, which many have taken as confirmation that there may be more to this story. For now, we should err on the side of caution as to whether or not the stories are true, especially considering there isn't an official statement from any potential victims. However, the way the story is heading is not a good sign for Chris Jericho, Tony Khan, or All Elite Wrestling in general. If Rae is bound to a non-disclosure agreement regarding her AEW exit, as has been suggested, it's likely that we'll never hear from her directly. As of this recording, neither Jericho nor the company have reacted to the developments, and as it stands, Chris is still scheduled to compete at tonight's AEW World's End pay-per-view, where he will team with Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting to take on Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Kyle Fletcher. Next up, we have the latest on the future of this top free agent. The future of Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, has been a hot topic as of late, with her recent recovery from injury leading to speculation on where she could land next. One of the options on the table for the boss has been WWE, with reports recently revealing that the two sides were in talk over this possibility. With that said, it seems that these negotiations have come to a halt after an agreement was unable to be reached. Last night, Fightful Select would provide an update on the Mercedes situation and roads. Mercedes Moné, aka Sasha Banks, and WWE had been engaged in conversations to possibly bring her back to the company. However, WWE sources stated to Fightful Friday night that the two sides are no longer in active negotiations regarding a return. The two sides had recently been engaged in conversations about a return. We're told the dialogue was friendly, the back and forth failed to progress, and WWE sources claimed that their side walked as a result of it. The report adds that according to another source within WWE, the belief is that Mercedes is set to appear in another wrestling company imminently, although her next destination wasn't revealed. There are many big wrestling events coming up in the next couple of weeks. First, with AEW's World's End pay-per-view airing tonight, NJPW's Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, as well as TNA Hard to Kill on January 13th, all of which are being viewed as potential landing spots for the CEO. As for the AEW option, we do know that there were plans in place for Mercedes to become All Elite, although these plans were ultimately scrapped due to an inability to reach terms. We also know that New Japan Pro-Wrestling are still interested in working with Moné going forward, with there still being a good relationship between both sides. But where do you think Mercedes Moné will appear in the imminent future? Let me know in the comments down below. And next, an AEW original is set to leave All Elite Wrestling. 2023 has seen many former AEW talents leave the company, whether it be down to expiring contracts or in one case, contract termination with cause. We can now add another name to the list that includes CM Punk, Jade Cargill, Brian Pillman Jr. and many more, as it's been revealed that an AEW original is set to leave the company. The news would break via Fightful Select, who noted that Sean Spears will become a free agent on January 1st, with them noting that the departure was amicable between he and AEW. Spears himself would then take to X to confirm the news and wrote, "What a wonderful time it has been. Thank you AEW for allowing me to be there from the ground level. It's been a fantastic 5 years of growth and personal development. This is a personal choice and one that is best for me and my family at this time. Thank you to all, staff and talent alike for the memories." It's currently unclear what the future holds for the 42-year-old veteran, although he will no doubt have options elsewhere as an active performer, with TNA perhaps being a solid option given their upcoming rebrand. Sean is also still a coach at he and Tyler Breeze's wrestling school, Flatbacks, with him also having the credentials to work in a backstage capacity, perhaps in WWE at the Performance Center. Next up, a WWE champion is set to make a big return. This coming Monday night, WWE will host the latest episode of Raw, a show that will be billed as Day One. Day One is the name of a former WWE pay-per-view from 2022 that went down on New Year's Day, with the company this time reviving the event as a special edition of the Red brand. Ahead of the show, Fightful Select would reveal that sources within WWE have told them that a return is set for Monday night, noting that the individual is a former WWE champion, and they would write, "Sources within WWE, while speaking vaguely, claimed that the company is on the 1-yard line in landing a former WWE champion to appear on the show, and they feel confident they can get the deal done. We haven't been given a specific name, but we're told it was someone not currently on their roster." Fightful were unable to confirm the name of the talent, or if they are currently active or retired in the business. It's also unclear if the term former WWE champion means former world champion or a holder of just any championship in the past, and also a specific gender is unclear. With that said, Triple H has since reacted to the report on his own social media accounts, teasing that the story may or may not be true, saying that it is, and he would write, "Not going to confirm or deny the rumors of a former WWE champion appearing at WWE Raw Day 1, but I will say to stay tuned. New Year's Day, 8 PM Eastern on USA Network." But who do you think the returning former WWE champion could be? Let me know in the comments down below. And before you go, make sure you check out every WWE and AEW contract that expires in 2024.